In the silence of the ancient forests of Brittany, where the mist seems to whisper forgotten secrets, a ruined monastery keeps guard over a feast that never ended. What would happen if someone, driven by curiosity or bravado, dared to take a seat at the table of ravenous spirits? This is the mystery shrouded in the ashes of Sanctum Silenti, a place cursed by ancestral rituals, plagues, and a fire that failed to silence voices from beyond. Time has done nothing to still the echoes of that final meal. On the contrary, they say that on nights when the moon turns a crimson eye in the sky, 12 shadows gather to replay a banquet that can never be sated. Prepare to delve into the heart of fear, where every detail of the banquet of the damned still breathes, hungry and awaiting its next guest. In the year 1266, the bells of Sanctum Silenti tolled with a heavy, muffled tone, swallowed by the everlasting fog that cloaked the hills of Brittany. From its inception, the place was steeped in mystery, built upon what villagers called the Circle of Laments, an ancient druidic site abandoned after centuries of bloody rites. Black stones still lay scattered in dark patterns beneath the monastery's foundations, like roots of an age-old evil that had never been uprooted. No bird dared soar overhead, no flower dared bloom beside its walls. The monks themselves, bound by vows of silence, seemed to drift like specters through the cold stone corridors, whispering prayers in voices that never carried. It was an age of desperation, for the Black Death was beginning to spread its tendrils across Europe, and many believed that death itself was a living entity, drifting on the winds and borne on the guilt of mankind. At Sanctum Silenti, however, death took a different form, slower, more deliberate. One by one, the monks vanished. No screams, no trace, only a silence that grew heavier with each dawn. Abbot Arembert, the sole keeper of the monastery's records, began to notice unsettling patterns. The missing were always those who withdrew most, who lingered longest in the chapel, who fasted for days in pursuit of penitence, as if something chose them, drawn by their extreme devotion. In the monastery's library, hidden beneath loose floorboards and protected by symbols forged in iron, Arembert discovered an ancient codex written in a tongue-blending vulgar Latin with Celtic influences. It spoke of a ritual known as La Tabula Mortuorum, the Table of the Dead, a banquet held under sanguine eclipses in which 12 souls were offered in honor of the old gods of the woodland, in exchange for wisdom, longevity, or vengeance. Horror struck Arembert when he realized that 11 monks had already disappeared. On the night of the next full moon, a red eclipse cloaked the heavens. The abbot's codex ends abruptly with a frantic entry. They have come, 12 cowls, 12 places, the table set. I did not invite them. Yet they waited. They intone words I do not understand, and my soul trembles. The wine is no wine. The pitcher bones are ours. After that final record, Sanctum Silenti fell silent. 5 years later, in 1271, a fire consumed the monastery. The flames sprang up with no discernible origin, spreading as though guided by invisible hands. When they finally died away, all that remained was charred rubble and a strange, unyielding cold. A chill that never left that ground, even under the summer sun. Only one chamber stood untouched, the refectory, where an oak table lay untouched by flame. 12 chairs, 12 plates of human bone, meticulously polished, and darkened iron chalices. Whoever dared draw near felt a buzzing in their ears, as if voices stirred beyond the veil. Many say that at midnight shadows take their places around the table, and the plates ring as though in silent toast. And should anyone dare to sit, the count begins anew. Over the centuries, the ruins of Sanctum Silenti became a damned secret among villagers in the surrounding hamlets. Peasants would not utter its name, referring to it only as the Hill of Whispers. The forest that grew around it turned thick and hostile, its ancient trunks resembling petrified human torsos. Travelers who tried to cut through those woods reported strange sounds, muffled prayers, the crack of dry timber on windless nights, and the metallic clink of chalices raised to emptiness. Few had courage to climb the slope to the old monastery, but those who did, driven by curiosity or recklessness, returned changed. If they returned at all, in 1614, a group of scholars from the University of Nantes, fascinated by medieval legends, resolved to explore Sanctum Silenti. Among them was the young Antoine de Maurepas, whose grandmother spun tales of the Table of the Damned and its profane feast. A skeptic by nature, Antoine led the expedition to disprove the ED rumors. He and 3 colleagues arrived at the ruins on a misty autumn morning, armed with notebooks, measuring tools, and consecrated candles. Crossing the monastery's threshold, they immediately noted the absolute stillness. No creature stirred, no natural sound broke the hush, only an echo of absence. Upon entering the refectory, Antoine felt a bone-deep chill. The table stood as described in old accounts, plates of human bone arranged with almost artistic intent, and chalices darkened by a substance that looked dry yet glowed red in candlelight. One student, Henri, jested that dinner was served as he took a seat and laughed. The candle in his hand flickered out of its own accord. The chamber fell ice-cold, and the other candles danced as if strangled. Antoine recorded in his journal that a shadow had formed behind Henri, though no physical figure was there. It was like a viscous wraith, a shifting smoke of darkness. Within seconds, Henri collapsed. Hours later, when he awoke, he spoke no known tongue, neither French nor Latin nor any other. Instead, he uttered guttural phrases akin to those recorded by Arambert centuries earlier. Henri's eyes had changed. They were utterly black, as though their very orbs had been hollowed out. Terrified, the others fled with great difficulty, carrying Henri. But Antoine lingered a few more minutes, studying the table. He wrote in his final note, "They do not dine, they remember. Each plate is an offering, each chair an invitation. They await our return, the cycle's reenactment. For the banquet is eternal. And now they know my name." After that, Antoine's records vanished as mysteriously as he had. Henri was committed to an asylum in Rennes, where he died months later, having carved a circular symbol, the same from Arambert's codex, into the floor of his cell. The remaining expedition members never spoke of the ordeal again, and died under varied circumstances, all marked by nocturnal hallucinations, anguished cries, and visions of shadows at their bedside. The monastery was officially condemned and removed from maps, as though that decree could silence what lay within. Yet locals still glimpsed strange lights among the trees and, on occasion, heard chalices clink in the distance, a macabre toast echoing across centuries. In more recent times, with advances in technology and a renewed hunger for haunted sites, the name Sanctum Silenti resurfaced among occult circles and paranormal enthusiasts. On obscure forums and in deleted videos buried in the deep web, tales emerged of urban explorers who claimed to have found the site. Some spoke of secret coordinates, hidden in medieval grimoires. Others said they followed folktale whispers. A common theme ran through most accounts. The refectory remained unchanged. Nothing moved, nothing aged, as though that chamber was caught in a fold of time, protected by a pact no mortal force dared breach. In 2004, a team of Spanish documentarians set out to film a special on Europe's cursed places and included Sanctum Silenti on their itinerary. None of the footage ever aired. Only a single 7-second clip leaked, depicting a violently shaking camera while a voice murmured in Spanish, "They are coming. 12. Only one was missing." The final shot showed the table from above, 11 hooded figures seated motionless. The 12th seat remained empty, facing the lens like an invitation. The camera operator was found days later, wandering naked along a road 50 kilometers away, his body etched with knife-carved symbols. This pattern of the 13th chosen became a matter of occult debate. Many believe the feast demands a new entrant to complete its cycle, that the soul of whoever takes the empty chair is absorbed by the circle, nourishing the others with its essence. The belief grew stronger when, in 2019, an unauthorized investigation by a group of Brazilian YouTubers ended in tragedy. One, known only as Lucas M., posted a series of videos recounting the sensation of being watched, whispers in dead languages, and a sudden, bone-chilling cold. In his final upload, removed less than an hour later, Lucas stood alone in the refectory, eyes wide, and said, "They want me to sit, so another soul can be freed." The recording ends on a solitary chair, creaking as though bearing an unseen weight. Lucas was never seen again. His companions denied accompanying him that night, claiming they abandoned the venture before reaching the monastery. Their channel went offline, and the family never spoke to the press. Yet the case reignited the myth of the eternal banquet and drew a new generation of thrill-seekers who believe that sitting at the table may open a portal, not merely to hell, but to forbidden knowledge. Some radical occultists theorize that the 12 hooded figures are remnants of ancient deities imprisoned between worlds, and that the banquet is a ritual feeding them on human souls, preventing their return to the mortal plane. Others suggest they are monks condemned to infinite penance for desecrating the sacred with impure hands. Some claim the Druidic pantheon itself chose that spot as a spiritual anchor, turning the table into an altar where the living become offerings. Despite centuries of warnings, accounts, and tragedies, the table's call remains strong. Perhaps it is human curiosity, perhaps an unconscious yearning for the supernatural. But one thing is certain: the empty chair still stands, waiting, and each time someone dares to sit, the other 12 smile in the darkness, for they know that with the sacrifice, the cycle completes and begins anew. What started as a monastery devoted to contemplation and penitence has become an altar of horrors where time and reason dissolve. The table set at Sanctum Silenti is not merely an artifact of a bygone age, but a convergence point between worlds, where the unseen manifests and the fate of the unwary is sealed by a single act, sitting down. The recurring apparitions, the inexplicable disappearances, and the symbols repeated across centuries all testify to a power that transcends human understanding. Fire did not destroy it. Oblivion did not erase it. And in that place, death is not an end. It is a passage. The hooded figures continue their unending feast, devouring what remains of the souls who dared cross their domain. Whether driven by ambition, skepticism, or sheer despair, every visitor becomes part of an ancient cycle, sustaining forces that may have predated even the gods. With each full moon, the feast resumes. with each new, curious soul, a fresh offering. And the empty chair remains as a cruel reminder that the next victim may be closer than they imagine. As we conclude this descent into the ruins of fear and oblivion, one question echoes through the shadows. How many souls will yet be claimed before the cycle breaks? Or is that, in itself, the true curse, that the banquet never ends? If ever you come upon a solitary table amid crumbling ruins, surrounded by unmoving chairs and plates of bone, do not sit, watch, listen, flee, until our next descent into history's shadows.